So before we dive into part 2 of this episode, I got to ask, did you catch part 1? If not, hit pause real quick. You'll want to start from the beginning to get the full effect. The link to part 1 is right down in the description below. Go ahead, catch up, and we'll be right here waiting for you, ready to dive into part 2 when you're all set. It's worth it, I promise.
I would say that's the most frustrating. And how I would change it is by what I'm doing, letting people know that there is another way, being an example of another way. I am pouring into my community so that they can activate and remember their own intuition and funnel it into their business so that they are sovereign in the heart, mind, soul, and bank account.
I actually, when I developed my business, I chose very feminine colors and everything on purpose. I wanted to sit in my femininity in what I did, and I wanted to serve feminine women business owners, to empower them and to give them confidence and the things that I know that our society struggles with. It's very similar. Our purpose and our mission is very similar. I want to magnify their impact. Like most of the people that I work with want to change the world in some way, right? For good, with more wellness, joy, and kindness. I want them to be big and be bolder and not think small and know the possibilities exist and that people believe in that. Like, this is yours for the taking. You just have to decide. The issue I have is I have so much good things in there that I want to make happen that it is like time is a limitation. I am in this space of real creative energy and real alignment with, I think, what my purpose is. And it's just unlocked something so amazing. And this idea of creating the business that you want, that you actually want, that makes you feel like this. You're excited. I used to be stressed and I was successful. I was making multiple 6 figures, but I was stressed out and hated it and almost gave up my business, almost closed my doors. And then I did a lot of the work and decided that we needed to go a different direction. And now we're good. But there was a moment of clarity. I was literally giving advice to a client and I had a out-of-body experience. I was watching this conversation happen and I was telling me, why aren't you taking your own freaking advice? Do you hear yourself? That was a moment for me that just clicked. I can have the best marketing. And why am I not doing that? Why am I not making us the case study, the example of what can happen, what is possible? And it just made me take the time to invest in what we needed to do for our business versus everybody else's business. And really clear.
And that experience of being out, then you came in and you made a different decision. Of course I get to be the case study. Of course I get to pour into my own marketing. Now in the self, this
is a multiple of those moments, but that was really the catalyst for me to do things differently and think differently about my business. And it was empowering to the point of, this is my business, not everyone else's business. And that was something that had taken a long time for me to understand. I said yes to everyone and everything. And I thought I was supposed to make the client happy and do all the things. I was doing things that were not in alignment and that I wasn't good at. I had to figure out, and I was stressed out after that moment was, this is my business and I get to decide exactly how I serve, exactly what we do. It's going to be the things that light me up. We're going to sit in our lane and we might have a couple lanes, but we're going to sit in our lane. This is where we're meant to be. And making that decision, all of a sudden, it unlocked so many other things. My comfort zone flew open. I wrote a book in 7 days, Megan. I started a podcast. Like, here we are. Me listening to myself.
We're our own greatest teacher, right? And that's why it's so powerful to be able to discern and decipher between my humanness and my higher self. Right? Because they have this same sound. One is always about expansion and the other is comfort oriented. The lifestyle, the freedom, the expansion, the legacy came from uncomfortable decisions.
It wasn't safe decisions.
And they were not comfortable decisions, yet making decisions that were not comfortable creates comfort. Making decisions that are comfortable creates contraction. When we make the decisions, we want to feel stretched, edgy, maybe even a little bit of resistance. Resistance is still intuition. And that creates a life of ultimate freedom and comfort. But if we're making a decision from comfort, it starts falling in on itself.
Oh, yeah. There was lots of tears. Like, am I still supposed to be doing this? There was a lot of questioning of my purpose. It was tough. But I have the mantra now. I say just one step, just one step. Just one, even if it's a tiny little step, just keep taking the step because you can't go back. I can never go back. I feel like right now I have a lot of ideas and I'm going to blow some walls down here in a minute too. There are some other things that I'm working on, but you're right. Point of no return. I cannot ever go back. And not everyone understands that either. I'm different now.
And you're at the point because you can't go back. Now you're at this space of so much free will, free choice that it is one step at a time, right? People will be grasping for the exact plan, right? But really, sometimes you just need to take the next step. Because what keeps happening for me is it just gets better and better. That wouldn't have actually set into a plan that my mind created.
I use the example of the car on the road at night. You can see the lights in the car on the road. You can see that far in front of you, and you know that there's nothing in your way right there. So you keep driving. You have a destination in mind. You might have some directions. All you need to be worried about right now when you're driving the car is what's right in front of you. If there's a car in front of you, if you slow down, you just stop. Like right then, that's what you need to be present for. I have a destination in mind. Not that the destination can't change. I'm very open to destinations changing. Maybe it's like a road trip. I want to stop and see the big donut on the side of the road. But I have a general direction of where I want to go. And it's these small steps. We just launched a membership. And again, 2 years ago, if you had said I'd be where I am now, I would have laughed at you and said, oh my gosh, it wasn't even in my ability to see where I am now. And there's more ahead for sure. I'm in my car and I may stop at the big donut, but who knows where it's going to go, right? I'm really open to whatever comes. They say luck and hard work is opportunity, right? I'm not nervous about the exploration. I'm like, let me learn more about that. And what does that look like? And how could that somehow fit into what I'm doing or where I am? I'll tell you, not a funny story, but a story that I think may help the listener a little bit. When I was in my first year of college, I had lived in Spain and Brazil as an exchange student. And I had spent the 4th of July at the ambassador's house, the U.S. ambassador's house in Brazil. It was 1993, a long time ago. And I had decided then and there that I wanted to be a diplomat. I wanted to help the world to be more connected and peaceful. That's what I really wanted. I wanted to create connection and celebrate diversity, not create divisiveness. That was something that was really important to me. And when I was in my freshman year of college, I got very sick. I got a really bad virus, so much so they thought I might die. So I came home from school and my doctor said, I got better by miracle, no medicine, no nothing. Somehow I got better. And when I got better, they said, we don't know if this is like a remission or if it's going to come back or what. So stay near home so that you're near your doctors in case something happens. So I went to a different university and they didn't have an international relations program for diplomats. They didn't have that. They said, you can go to law school. And I was like, I don't ever want to be a lawyer because I never wanted to compromise my ethics. And so she was like, well, we've got these classes and they seem to be creative. Why don't you go into communications? I said, yeah, that sounds good. I love jingles and I was a dancer. So I like dancing around to jingles and things like that growing up. And I love music and I liked writing. That was like more my side of things. So I went to school for that, got my master's in diversity and communication. So that international element has always been in my thing. I worked for a language school. I worked for a language software company, a tech company. Always had this international element. Fast forward, I started this company when I married my Army husband and I had to take my show on the road. I couldn't work for corporate America anymore because they weren't going to go with me every 3 years wherever my husband went. I had to create a job for myself. I thought I'd never have that again, that international side of things again. But now my entire team is all over the world. And every single one of them, we have community projects in every single one of the communities where we're doing good.
When I was 15 doing readings, I had no idea it was taking me here. When you came home ill, you had no idea that you were coming to this direction, right? And we can unburden our mind and our humanness from having to know everything in order to start. Do the first step, like you said.
Somebody posted today, consistency over intensity, progress over perfection, and fundamentals over fads. There's no secret. Okay. It's just like one step. And a lot of entrepreneurial interviews, they talk about persistency, like just never giving up on it. If it's something you really want to do, not that I would never not give up. There might be an opportunity that would tell me that maybe isn't the exact route. Like I might need to go. I'm not going to be stubborn about it, but I am going to be persistent to figure it out to a place where I feel like yes or no is a good decision.
Yes.
Consistency and persistency. And progress over perfection, where I am versus where somebody else might be, is maybe was completely different. And don't compare yourself to the other person, because you are right exactly where you're supposed to be this minute, and you have things to learn now. Oh, Megan, this is so good. I could talk to you for hours. One thing that I really like about what you do is, and anybody who's in this space, is you talk about that shift from surviving to thriving. I think a lot of people are just going through the motions. I've been there. I know exactly how that feels. So can you share maybe like a highlight or a success story of somebody who has taken that leap from surviving?
There is true survival, and we see that in poverty-stricken parts of our country and of the world. I just came back from Indonesia. Survival is a very real thing, and it is a day-to-day there. And the people I tend to work with are those who have access to a job, their income, their business, that sort of thing. And they still live with the same programming as the single mom who may not be able to make rent, as the Indonesian family that are just hoping for one more chicken to get them through the month, right? There's a deep survival that actually keeps us blind to what is always already. And for those who come to work with me in business, the first thing that we get to do is unhook from that programming that there isn't enough and that they're in survival. I have had millionaires tell me that they have anxiety attacks over money. These people are not actually facing survival day in and day out, but their body, their mind is still behaving that way. So the first thing we do is we get really close. And the moment they can create that spaciousness and go, wow, I do have all this opportunity right here. Now we can start getting in there and really playing and opening up receivership. I think a really great example of this is a client, Sarah. She made $2 million in the last 4 years of her business, 4 or 5 years. And then she had a year where it stopped at $10,000 a month and she was panicked. She was really afraid. That is a massive change in income. And we did a little tweaking of her marketing to bring in a new offer, which was a membership. And that's all we did. And then we worked on nervous system regulation and hearing her intuition versus that voice that's everything's falling apart. That sort of panic was closing her receptivity. So she wasn't even able to receive what was already there. In switching this, she had a complete meltdown, as sometimes humans do, right? Before her lunch. And I said, let's get deeper. What's really here? And she's like, it's just so simple. How will this do any good? It's too simple. So notice that receivership and things working out and joy, those are skill sets. We think that when I get to this point, then I'll feel joyful, then I'll feel safe, then I'll have enough money to be happy. But these sorts of things are skill sets. Knowing how to be easy and graceful in business, knowing how to receive money at another level. These are skills that not everybody has worked. So they come up to the point they can accidentally sabotage themselves. And she had support. I was there to support her. And she had a fabulous launch. It was $52,000 in 2 days. And then she had recurring after that because we do follow-up marketing. And it was such a sigh of relief. But what her tweak was here is that it's safe to be easy.
So let's talk about marketing for a moment. You talk about this marketing tweak for her, the membership. Is there a marketing thing that's worked really well for you? Or is there something with marketing that you have found to be most valuable for you?
Yeah, I find collaborative marketing is my favorite. This is a collaboration, right? Summit's a collaboration. I love that. It's my most favorite. It doesn't cost anything. My multi-seven-figure business has been built from collaborations. And so done properly is definitely one of my favorites. Now, with anything with marketing, I actually mentioned earlier, I will run it 3 times. Most people will run it once, and if they like it, they keep it, and if they don't, they toss it out. We'll run it 3 times, even if that 3 times takes me 9 months or 8 months or 12 months.
Yeah.
So that I am aware that my humanness is not running the show. My favorite marketing hack is finding one thing that you really like, but without letting the humanness be like, this is what I like. We get to discern there. Find one that has worked well for you, that you enjoy enough, and put it on rinse and repeat. Because most business owners don't care that much about business mechanics and strategies. We do. We like it. Most business owners don't. They're just doing it because they love being able to be in their genius zone, which is serving their clients or their customers. It isn't marketing. It isn't sales. It isn't systems. So you find that simple marketing and then you rinse and repeat.
Entrepreneurs are builders, so they think they have to keep building something. I always say that we have clarity, and once you have focus, and it just simplifies everything. We have to do baby steps. The less is better because we oftentimes get our own way and confuse our customer. So yes, simplicity is brilliant when you do it right. And testing is always really important. The power of testing and patience. Consistency and persistency. So let's do the lightning round. The lightning round is just some quick questions, some fun facts about you. The first one is, if your business had a voice, and this is interesting, what emotion or word would it embody?
It is sovereignty.
Yeah, sovereignty to me still has connection to its surroundings, to its environment, but it is grounded and confident and really free.
Before we dive back into the inspiring world of Spark and Ignite marketing, let's take a moment to thank the incredible supporters who make this podcast possible. Today's episode is brought to you by BC & Associates Marketing, your go-to partner to help you spark and ignite your marketing. At BC & Associates Marketing, we believe in sparking ideas that lead to unique opportunities, whether you're a small business owner looking to ignite your brand or an entrepreneur seeking marketing mastery. Our team is dedicated to crafting tailored solutions that fuel your growth. From strategic planning to ongoing support, BC & Associates Marketing brings over 25 years of expertise to the table. We're not just marketers, we're your partners in success, committed to sparking innovation and helping your business thrive in the ever-evolving landscape. So if you're ready to take your marketing to the next level, visit bcassociatesmarketing.com. Let's spark extraordinary opportunities together. A big thank you to BC & Associates Marketing for supporting the Spark and Ignite Marketing podcast. Now, let's get back to the show and continue sparking those ideas.
Is there a book or a podcast or another entrepreneur? Your mom obviously was a really big influence on you, but somebody that gave you some bits of wisdom or advice that was really helpful?
It's not business though, but I would say Ram Dass and Byron Katie. Byron Katie's work is what has allowed me to move through so many of my own stuckness.
Yeah, that's a question. Who helps you get through your stuckness?
I have mentors. I have a relationship mentor. We've worked with them for 4 years and we have a stunning marriage. I have a spiritual mentor. I've been with her for 3 years. And I have a strategic mentor on and off.
So we talk about that too from a high performing individual. Like you need a coach, you need people around you to help you with the areas in your life, to keep you accountable, to keep you on the right track, not getting distracted.
Yes, I strongly value coaching for my business and my money. Oh, I also have a financial strategist. I also want that for my relationship. And I also want that for my spiritual evolution. And some people may go, wow, that's a lot of money on that sort of thing, but I'm worth that. And when I have that sort of support, I literally move mountains.
Yeah, when you're at that vibration, watch out, world. Do you have a tool or app that has become your secret weapon?
Oh, I love ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah.
So good at supporting me with the little things that feel overwhelming to the mind. So love ChatGPT.
Yes. And even organizing it. If I'm like, I have this idea for this thing, break it down into steps. It's amazing. It's a great assistant. Yes, I would agree. What are the 3 most important ingredients for your recipe for success?
Self-care, on-point team. I do not lead this business and a family of 7 without a solid amount of support. So definitely team. And then someplace for me to just be very vulnerable, very raw, where all of my parts are welcome and available when I'm on and when I'm off. Some of those are my mentor containers and definitely relationship with my husband, with my partner, where I get to be all of it.
If your business was an animal in the wild, what animal would it be? What creature would it embody and why?
I would say, no, maybe it's a panther. It's black with the gold eye, just because it's stealthy, it's quiet, but solid.
Very
No,
grounded. One thing I always say in the interview, whenever you pick your animal, is how can you use the panther or things that would describe a panther in your marketing?
It can get down and in the ground and do the very manual work, but it can also go up into the treetops and see what is below. And it is both powerful and quiet.
That's a cool thing. You talk about having multiple businesses and 2 7-figure businesses. When was the moment that you realized you were successful?
Probably 2 years ago, and I was sitting out back having my coffee, and I have 3-year-old twins now. So at that time, they weren't quite 1, but they were giggling in the background. And I had a couple appointments coming up with clients in a few hours, but I was just outside enjoying it. And I had this wave of bliss come over. And I thought, this is where I want to be. It's in the backyard with my coffee, with my family. Yeah. And I was like, I don't have to worry about their future anymore, ever now. So that for me that was success. And then there's waves of it after that. Just recently was like, girl, you are brave. You're brave to go put yourself out there like that. That is scary. And so that was another recognition of the willingness to hold success.
What has been the scariest thing you've had to do for business?
Receive rejection and painful criticism and feedback that is unkind. One of my greatest growths is being able to alchemize what may have hurt and go, if there's hurt here, this is for me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What is the area that you had to learn the most?
I would energetically trusting myself, right? Hearing my intuition and following it. Strategically would be messaging. And once I was like really bringing in some money that I had never seen before, I had to learn the finances. So I actually didn't have any of these things in place. I learned as I went. The biggest learning curve for me was taxes and finances. And I am still a lifelong student of it all.
There's a lot with the money situation. That was the first hire that I made, was a bookkeeper and CPA as a business owner, because of 2 things. One, I didn't know, but also I didn't ever want to get myself in a situation with tax problems. But now I recently hired somebody who's doing like more forecasting and like business planning financially. But yeah, like there's so many elements to the financial side that it is a lot. I would agree with you, especially for somebody who's like me, as a creative soul who just wants to create whatever. I don't want to
chill
spreadsheet. I like the story that it tells at the end, but I don't want to know between me. I have a magic wand, Megan, and the magic wand is going to be like a time machine for us. I'm going to wave my magic wand and we're going to go back to that 15-year-old Megan who was just starting out doing like the readings, the intuitive stuff. Give her a piece of advice that you wish you had received.
It's safe to be different. That's what I would let her know. It is safe to be different. It's even safe to not fit in. The uniqueness, our own general uniqueness is...
I tell my son all the time, normal is boring. Don't be boring.
I just wanted to be boring so bad.
And that's what the kids want, right? They want to be boring. I'm like, no, don't be that. Just be you. Don't worry about it. We went to go see the Nutcracker Ballet last week. And we love music. My husband and I met in musical theater. We love music. And we do a lot with music here. And we were talking about it before he went. I told him, when a character comes on stage, notice the music. Is it light? Is it heavy? Is it dark? Is it like, we gave him some things to think about when he went. And so he comes back and he thought it was so good. And he said, none of the boys in my class liked it, but I loved it. And I said, you know what? Don't worry about those kids. Like, music is amazing and beautiful, and dance is amazing, and performance is amazing, and it's art, and it's lovely, and I'm so glad you enjoyed it. And it's been a week, and he's talked about it many times. I like who you are. You are uniquely and perfectly you. So don't try to be anybody else. Okay, waving the wand again, Megan. We're going to go all the way into the future. And I don't want this to be morbid, but I want you to think about your eulogies. And I want you to tell me the things that you hear people saying and the impact that you've made in your life.
Oh, so beautiful. Let's see. That I was courageous enough to go for it. And that I set a beautiful example for my kids of what's possible. That whether they chose to be stay-at-home moms or working moms or business owners or employees, that they chose what they wanted and they had no obligation to impress me.
That is a gift.
Yeah, that I was just supportive through and through, and I chose to see people's liberation versus their limitation. And I think the greatest compliment in that, in hearing all that, would be that I lived it.
That's beautiful. So before we wrap up, I'm going to bring us back into today's day. What is one piece of actionable advice that you would give an entrepreneur today that they could take with them that would help them with their intuition and maybe making them a little braver and maybe empowering them to sit and be more in alignment in their own power? What advice would you give them?
Do it faster. Whatever you have on your mind, to do it faster. Processing is for the ego. Ego processes. The soul knows. And so if you were not afraid to mess up, you would act faster every time. Just because it doesn't heed the results I expected doesn't mean that it didn't work. Instead of waiting, just take action on your inspirations. I'm often in action. Even though I only work 3 days a week, there is something in motion. There's always something in motion because source is motion. Like divinity is motion. It's always moving. So I would say that the action that they could implement today is take action today.
I would totally agree. At 19 to almost die, that gives you a different level of action. Life is very precious. And then someone once told me that this is my last life that I've lived. It is interesting to think about. If this is my last life, I better kill it, right? So, Megan, before we wrap up, I just want you to please share where people can learn more about what you do and your business and connect with you, because I think so many of my listeners can benefit from what you do.
Oh, thank you. You can find me at my website, which is megancamille.com. Instagram is themegancamille.com. That's where I hang out most often. Going to my website, you can come into my email list. Same with Instagram. That's where most of my sharing and action happens. I'm not huge on social media, but I am very close and intimate with my emails.
Wonderful. Megan, thank you so much for being here and sharing your incredible story.
This is fabulous. Thank you.
To all of our listeners, remember, it's not just about the grind of work every single day. It's about aligning with your true purpose and letting the magic of you and your business unfold before you. Please stay tuned for more inspiring conversations and actionable tips on future episodes of the Spark and Ignite Your Marketing podcast. Until next time, keep sparking and igniting. Thank you so much for tuning into the Spark and Ignite Your Marketing podcast. I hope you found today's conversation or activation to be something clear and actionable that you can take back to your very own business. If you found this helpful, I'd love it if you take a moment to share your thoughts in a review. Not only does this help us see what's working and what you'd like to hear more of, but it also helps other business owners just like you find the sparks that they need. And if you know someone who could use today's tips, why not share this episode with them? A little inspiration can go a long way, and together we can help more people simplify their marketing and make their business shine.